The head of the Russian regime, Putin, decided to brag in an interview with propagandist Zarubin and called the Aurus limousine a completely Russian car. However, the attempt to show Russian technological advancement failed. It turned out that Russia imported spare parts for its production for tens of millions of dollars, writes agency. Putin's embarrassment immediately became the subject of ridicule on social media. During the conversation, the head of the Kremlin said that he presented the limousine to the UAE leader as 100% Russian, supposedly without any serious dependence on imports. "This is 100% our machine, our production, our development. Our partners were only consultants," he said. But the facts are different. From 2018 to 2023, Aurus Motors imported components and equipment worth $34 million from abroad. The suppliers include North Korea, Italy, India, China, and Turkey. The purchased parts included body panels, sensors, controllers, switches, welding equipment, and software. Even after the start of a full-scale war against Ukraine, when Russian propaganda assured that the country produces everything itself, purchases continued. Since February 2022, almost $16 million worth of foreign components have arrived. The NAMI Center itself, which developed the limousines, admitted last year that the level of localization does not reach 100%. According to their data, the production of Auruses is approximately 90% Russian, but even this figure raises doubts, given the scale of deliveries. Experts note that such statements by Putin create the illusion of technological power, while in reality, Russia remains deeply dependent on foreign components, even for its main symbols of prestige. Earlier, media reported that the car market is going into a steep dive. Experts predict a major decline in Russia. The Association of European Businesses, AEB, has revised its forecast for car sales in Russia downwards. In 2025, the market, according to their estimates, will shrink by 24%. This will be one of the sharpest declines in recent decades. The market has only slumped more seriously after the annexation of Crimea and in the first months of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The updated AEB report states that only 1.25 million cars will be sold in Russia by the end of the year. The previous forecast allowed for a 15% decrease, but the deterioration of the macroeconomic situation, tax increases, and the lack of government support forced analysts to revise their estimates. The situation is getting worse with each passing month. In the first half of the year, car sales fell by 27% and in June by 29%. At the same time, as noted in the AEB press release, there are no signs of stabilization yet. The association's representative, Alexei Kalitsev, noted that the market could partially recover if the state programs First Car and Family Car are resumed, as well as if the central bank's key rate is reduced. However, no official decisions have been made on this matter yet, and the current forecast is made based on the existing realities.
U.S. President Donald Trump's special envoy for Ukraine Keith Kellogg arrived in Kyiv on Monday. According to Associated Press, Kellogg was greeted by the head of Ukraine's presidential office, Andriy Yermak, as he arrived at a train station in the capital before the pair left for talks. According to Yermak, the topics for discussion during Kellogg's visit will be defense, strengthening security, weapons, sanctions, protection of our people, and enhancing cooperation between Ukraine and the United States.
In the Toretsk direction, Ukrainian soldiers destroyed a monster tank, which the Russian invaders tried very hard to protect from drone attacks. The 28th Separate Mechanized Brigade, named after the Knights of the Winter Campaign, told about the unsuccessful assault for the occupiers in which they used infantry and 2 monster tanks. Artillerymen and UAV pilots stopped them, inflicting new losses on the Russian army. 1 tank was disabled and a second was destroyed. After several hits, the tanks tried to disperse along the forest belts to safely land the infantry among the greenery, but the Knights hit hard with FPV, bombers and even drones with artificial intelligence. The 28th Motorized Rifle Brigade noted, "As a result of the battle, 1 tank was set on fire and disabled, and the other was completely destroyed." The Ukrainian military said that it took about 60 FPV drones to destroy the monster tank because it was difficult to find a vulnerable. It was very difficult to find a weak spot. Why is it important to destroy it? Because in addition to infantry, such sheds may contain electronic warfare, which will allow other equipment to get there. Also, the presence of mine trolls, which clear the way for future assaults, in particular for motorcycles, etc. Monster tanks is an ironic name that Ukrainian military and analysts have started to use for some modifications of Russian tanks, especially the T-62 and T-55, which are equipped with primitive protection in the form of a large metal structure on top of the turret. Visually, it does resemble a barn roof, hence the name. Typically, these tanks have a metal frame or net over the turret, similar to a roof or canopy. They are also sometimes additionally lined with sandbags, barrels or slabs. In this way, the occupiers are trying to defend themselves from FPV drones and anti-tank missile systems, as well as cluster munitions and artillery shells. Analysts noted that it is important to destroy such equipment because, in addition to infantry, it can house electronic warfare which will cover the occupiers from Ukrainian drones. Such sheds can also carry trolls to clear the way from mines for further assault operations.